everybody, I'm Griffin McElroy for Polygon.com, senior editorial producer. Today we are going to check out The Division, which I'm very excited about. It's one of my more anticipated games here at E3. Joining me is Polygon's Dave Tack.
Hello.
Hi, Dave Tack.
Hello, Griffin McElroy.
It's always nice to see you. And Ryan Bernard from Ubisoft,
Hello, guys.
game director. Is that right?
That is correct.
On The Division. Today we're going to check out some of the footage that we saw at the press conferences earlier this week, including this, I think it's fair to say, haunting CGI trailer that we're going to take a look at, and then later some gameplay footage. So I feel like I feel like we've seen a lot of The Division. It's been in development for a while. Last year you were showing off a brief sample of gameplay, including some of the multi-screen functionality.
Yes.
This year you're showing off more straight gameplay. Can you tell us a little bit about what we saw?
Yeah, I mean, this year kind of the theme or the focus for us is to kind of reinforce what last year we were brand new, we were unannounced. It was kind of a splash on what is this game, what's happening, how does Clancy work with RPG, with open world. And this year it's obviously being involved with Microsoft, which was great. We're reaching a little bit larger audience, a broader audience, and reinforcing what the game is about. And of course trying to bring a few new elements of what's coming for the people that are following it since last year.
I feel like one of the things that we really came to understand this year was from this CGI trailer, which really established the world that the game takes place in, which is to say, like, a really just awful version of the version of New York, like in terms of how you've replicated it, is, we'll see how good that is, but man, would it suck to be there at this point.
Yes, and it's uplifting at the end,
Yeah.
It's for hope.
Sure, but this part isn't especially hopeful.
Well, it's setting the stakes, right? I think it's really trying to get a relatable, emotional mood for the people of what you'll be playing. What are you fighting for? As a Division agent, and kind of set the stakes, and not only just for the game, but for the whole universe. And we're really proud of it. The people, our creative team, our creative brand team, and the guys at Blur did an amazing job. And it makes me, shed a tear every time, and then get the goosebumps when we grab the guy up. So we're really, really pleased with it.
To what extent were you guys able to recreate New York City as this, playground for the Division? Because I know the Watch Dogs team did actually a pretty good job of turning Chicago into that sort of. How are you guys able to do New York?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you start with research, with looking at what is actually there in New York, and of course, creating an open world game, you want to kind of map out enough space for the content that you intend for the game. So it's not we're not creating a New York simulator with The Division.
Sure.
So there's a lot of areas that aren't maybe as interesting, that don't have the iconic locations that you can kind of squeeze out, so that it's really authentic and gets across the gameplay space we need, so it's usable. So that's the way we kind of think about it. So it's not a one-to-one, but it is a huge gameplay space in New York.
Well, what were you looking for when you decided to recreate it? What's that interesting game space?
Well, the iconic landmarks, I would say first. We want people to be able to recognize. It's part of the reason why we chose New York as a location for the game itself. So globally, everyone kind of has an image of New York and what they could see there. And then with this type of scenario we have for the game, what changes in that? So it's really striking emotionally and interesting for gameplay. So when you talk about the choices, we look at, okay, what sections have the most iconic locations that we could have, and then we look at the buildings that could be there, the gameplay space, parks like Central Park, of course, and you want a variety of environments for our players in an open world game.
Cool. Let's hop into the gameplay footage that we have, and you can sort of walk us through how the game will actually function. What we saw this time was a lot of strategic gameplay, a lot of teamwork. One of the things that some of the Polygon crew were talking about was, I don't think I've ever participated in a game that is ever seen that level of teamwork. It's mostly one person, shooting a wall while another person, runs around squatting the entire time.
Well, of course, this is a great ideal teamwork type of setup that you want to do when you show off how the roles of group mates will work in the game, or can work in the game, with the skills they choose and the weapons that they use. So yes, I've gotten a lot of comments on that about how calm they are and how nice they are to each other, which is generally not how people are. But also remember that we're on the main stage with this demo, so dang it and darn it was
sure, about approved. As far as you could.
Yeah, that was as intense as it could get.
It made me think that maybe Canadians are just like more polite and more strategically minded. And like the first thing is definitely true.
Canadians?
But, yeah.
You mean Swedes?
Swedes. Oh
yes.
No.
But yes, they are more polite and more kind.
Any non-American.
This is super intense for
sure.
For a Swede.
Yeah.
Excuse me, And this is actually, if we want to kind of comment through it, this is Echo, which is one of the new reveals that I was talking about. It's part of the investigation tool set for our agents. So it collects the data of an area like closed camera television or cell phone conversations, anything digital, and can recreate a scene where you could reveal maybe possibly some loot that's in the area. In this case, we completed a mission. It also will give you hints for the narrative, the overall narrative of the game.
I know whenever developers make a very connected online game, the MMO terminology, they're usually very careful to say, well, we're not technically an MMO. Like, what was the core seed behind this game? How would you sort of classify it?
Well, I mean, I think I've worked on a lot of MMOs. That's kind of my background, and I think there's a lot of convention and kind of older things, a lot of baggage that comes with a game when you call it an MMO.
Sure.
That's why we're really, we call this game an online RPG. So we have elements of MMOs with persistence, with being able to seamlessly join with other players. But then when we're out in the open world, like we have here in the demo, this is for our group. So it's more tailored content for you. So you don't see random, Legolas 444 running through your
sure.
Madison Square Garden event as you're dealing with that. So it's really trying to get the best of both worlds. So the things that work, that everyone likes, that keeps people playing MMOs for years and years, we want in the game. And the things that people don't like, that maybe can feel old or stagnant or don't work anymore, we won't put in the game.
What level of customization and specialization can characters expect? Is it a class-based game? Or is it more, freeform?
Sure, it's definitely more freeform. We want the roles in an RPG game, in a group-based RPG game, are important. If you can see here, we have people playing kind of the tank role, more support, more damage. And so that's important, but we don't want to lock players into a class choice like at the beginning of the game. So this way you can unlock skills, you can try them out, you try them out with weapons, you can switch up on the fly, and you're never kind of, pigeonholed. You don't need to, there's no re-roll concept in the Division, so that it's actually hopefully more rewarding and more flexible.
The environmental effects are really tremendous. I think the thing that a lot of people commented on when we were watching this live during your press conference was, oh my God, the paint just splashed up on the bus when you shot the paint cans. Sort of seemed like you guys are just maybe showing off a little bit, like, look what we can do, paint on the bus, what's up now?
Well, I mean, it's Snowdrop is the engine that we use for, for the Division. It's kind of developed for the Division, and we really are pushing the destruction, I think, to be best in class, for this type of game. And having an area where there's a lot of things that can explode and blow up to show the different textures is great for a 4.5 minute demo that you have. But if you go through the video, as people will, there's a lot of those little car door closing moments in this year's on-stage demo that we just watched, like the paint can.
Sure. What other kind of MMO functionality can we expect from the game? I mean, obviously, like, the end game is what a lot of hardcore MMO players are cognizant of before they decide to invest all the time into this game. Is it going to be worth it once I've reached the end of the prepared content? Yeah,
I mean, the focus for the game from its genesis has been about retention and end game. So making that relevant in a kind of a near future Clancy-esque situation is really where we lean on the RPG elements of the game. So it's a major focus for us. Having a great, compelling kind of campaign, if you will, which is another word that I don't really like because we don't really have a campaign, but the whole purpose, there's kind of a dual purpose for you as an agent in the game. You do need to deal with the chaos, take back New York, and then also find out what happened. There's something behind the virus. Why did this catalyst, why did this situation happen? But having interesting things to do once you've reached maximum level and you've finished the content is a focus for us. So it's important for the game, it's important for Massive, it's important for Ubisoft. This is where we want to move with games, you know, company or publisher wide, you know, moving forward. So it definitely will receive the love that it deserves, because in a lot of games, that's something that gets kind of neglected till the end, or patched in, or, you know, added on, and in games that I've worked on even in the past, and it needs to be integrated into the experience and developed early enough that it makes sense and there's, you know, interesting stuff to do.
Well, what are the kinds of things you mentioned earlier? There are things you want to avoid about the genre. What are the kinds of things you, I guess, when you were developing, you thought, we don't want to do this, or this is what we want to do instead?
Sure, that's a good question. I think the main thing is, you know, it used to be just an amazing thing in an online game to just see other players. Like, oh my God, that's another guy over there doing something. That's a person, and that was a big draw. Then creating these huge servers that could support, you know, 5,000 concurrent players was a big thing. And I think that now, the shininess and the relevance of that is more than worn off, and people want to get in to have their experience, to play with friends. If they decide to join a public space, then that's their decision. And so that was one of the first big ones that we made, because that kind of sets up a decision for the architecture of how you build your game. So that was a big one for us. And then a lot of it is smaller things. I think that narrative in MMOs, or traditional MMOs, is kind of something that it's there, and if you really work hard, then you can find it. But some of it's good. It's usually not consistent. It's always, you know, different.
Most
writers.
of the time there's a skip quest
Sure,
text.
yeah.
Button.
Just tell me what to do. Where do I kill the rabbits? And so we really are challenging ourselves with this game to have a narrative in an open world game that's multiplayer focused, that still allows for choice. And so that when you see Echo, that's kind of our key to how we'll do that. So you can be following a storyline, I can be following a storyline. When we play together, we have that relevant information, and when we don't lose that, and we can follow it at our own pace. So I think that's something that we're challenging ourselves with the game, to really create a meaningful story that everyone wants to find out what happens in a, let's say, an online retention endgame focused game.
Cool. Well, that is The Division. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you, of course, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, when can we expect to see more of The Division?
We're going to be out in 2015 on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC.
Any plans for beta or anything along those lines?
We're not talking about that yet.
Okay.
But you will hear about it when we talk about it.
Okay. I figured I will. Thank you all again for watching. We'll be back with more videos this week, more previews. Keep it locked on Polygon.com. Till then, see you around.